Hey, and welcome back to another Learning Java 2D Game Programming video. So in our last video, we made some auto tiling happen. So if you now turn on auto tile and then get to drawing a little bit, then it will try to connect your tiles as it can. And we accomplished this using a simple mapping table currently. So this is all fun, and I'm just going to load up a map that I made and saved using what we did in the last video. So here is a map, and as you can see, now we can have some variation and it looks quite fun. But before we get back to gameplay elements, I still want to be able to add some objects to our scene, like maybe trees or a bench or something to make it a little more interesting. And in order to do that, we need more space here. So as a preparation for that, we need to work a little on our UI. And what I'm thinking is, we are going to be creating a tab component today so that we can have one tab, which is tiles, and then another tab, which might be called scenery, which I'm thinking I'll probably name it. And that way we can have a lot of more tools and do a lot more stuff, because this is already taking over a lot of our screen space, and I don't like that. So a tab component it is. Let's go. I'm going to start by heading over to the UI package, and I'm going to keep it at the top for now. We might move it later, I'm not sure. I'm going to call this the UITab container. And I'll have this extend vertical container. Let's create that constructor. So what do we need for this tab container to contain? Well, it will be made up of two parts, so that this container will have two containers inside. One horizontal container with the actual tab buttons, and then one more container that has the active tabs contents inside. So let's do that. And then I'm also going to keep a reference to the active tab. And this component does not exist yet. All right, let's start by making this UI tab. And I'm going to start by making it an inner class. And the reason I'm doing that is because this is really supposed to be used along with this container. So the functionality of this is tightly coupled. That's why we're putting it inside. So I'm going to say that this will be a static class UI tab, which will extend clickable. There we go. Let's implement the necessary methods. And I can tell you right now, we're not going to use onFocus. We're not going to use onDrag. We're only going to use onClick. I'm going to put these next to each other so we don't have to think about them. All right, so what does our UI tab need? Well, our UI tab, first I'm going to keep a reference to the parent. So these are very tightly coupled now. I know that, but it makes it easier for us. So I'm going to say UI tab container parent. And then I'm going to have a container with the label inside. So this will work similarly to how we did the button, the UI button. We're going to pretend that this tab, all of its visuals and its interactables will be inside of this container. So then let's also say that we have a reference to our contents. This component itself will never display the contents, but it knows about its contents. So it has a reference to it. All right, let's make a constructor. And I want these two, so control click and then say OK. And Inside, I'm just going to put a string. I'm going to call it the label. So this dot label is equal to a new vertical container, and just give it any size, it doesn't matter. And here I'm going to say this dot label dot add UI component new UI text with the string label that was passed in. Great. So what will happen on click then? When we click this tab, then we want to do parent activate tab this. And currently we don't have this, so let's create that method inside of the tab container. And I don't want this to be located under our inner class, so let's just move it up. So in here we want to activate the tab that we clicked. And what will activating a tab be? It's just checking my notes. It's going to be setting the active tab to the UI tab that we're sending in. We want to clear the content container of whatever it contained before, and we have to make that method. After we've cleared it, let's add this UI tab get contents. All right, so first we have this content container that belongs to our tab container. We are clearing whatever's inside there, and then we're adding the contents of the tab that we clicked. So we need to create these methods. Let's start in here, get content inside of UI tab, and we can say UI container return contents. I'm not sure about the S. Do you say contents? Get contents, maybe. So I shift F6 click there. Let's not dwell on it. We also need a clear method, so let's create method clear inside of UI container, and this will just do children.clear. There we go. All right, so activate tab is done. So when we get the sprite for the UI tab, the inner class, when we get the sprite, then we want to get the label get sprite. So again, we are pretending like this label is the tab's the tab's entire visuals. But in order for that to work, we also need to adopt its size and make sure that it's updated. So let's first override the update method inside of this inner class, the UI tab. So public void update, and we have the state. First, let's remember to always call super. Now, first we want to update our label, pass in the state. Then we want to make sure that our size is the size of the label. Right. So I think that's okay. Now let's finish our parent container. So we need a way of adding a tab. So I'm going to make a method called public void add tab, and the tab needs a label and a container with its contents. I'd love to get some input on the S or not. I don't know. English is hard. All right, moving on. We first make the tab. So a UI tab is equal to, maybe we can just call it tab. UI isn't really adding any value. New UI tab, and this as the reference to the parent. We pass along the label and the contents. And then let's go to the tab container and add it. So first we add the tab to our tab container. And then I want to do this. If active tab is equal to null, so if this is the first tab that we're adding, then let's make that the active tab. Activate tab, tab. All right. I'm not sure if anything is missing now, but the best way of finding that out, right? Something is missing. I could already see it. We haven't instantiated our containers, and we need to. So let's do that. I'm going to say that tab container is a new horizontal container. And we have the window size, so sure, why not? Content container is equal to new vertical container, and it didn't matter since it's only going to have one child in it at a time. So let's add these UI components to the container that is the tab container. So first the inner tab container and then the content container. So there we go. Now let's try this out and see if we missed something. So I'm going to try that out by going to the editor state. And here, instead of adding just the tile menu directly to the top level containers, I'm going to add a tab container instead, and I'm going to put this tile menu inside of a tab. So let's do that. Let's first make a UITab container, and I'm going to call this tools, maybe? Tools container. And I'm going to make it a new UITab container. It takes the window size. And then here, tools container, add tab. I'm going to call this tiles, and it's going to be this thing. And to test out our functionality, I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to call it scenery because I think that's what I'm going to call it later. But we don't have any proper contents to put in here right now. But to really see the changes, I'm going to borrow render settings. And then let's make sure to add the tools container. Also, I think we need to set the alignment. Otherwise it'll be in the top left corner. So position start for the X and end for the Y. So it's at the same position as the tile menu was before. So let's try that and see what that looks like. And it doesn't look super great yet, but as you can see, the functionality works, right? So you can press scenery, and currently we put the render settings there. You can press tiles, and you get the tiles. So yay for that. Now let's make it look just a little bit better. And the way that I'm going to do that, first of all, I'm going to take away the padding and margins for these things. Set padding, new spacing 0, and then set margin, new spacing 0. I'm going to duplicate both of these, and I'm going to do the same thing for the content container. And the content container, I think I'm going to set the background color to gray, maybe? I'm just going to try this. We might also need to do it for this. Let's do set padding, new spacing 0. So that's the padding for this container. I'm just going to see what that looks like. So a little bit better, I guess, but maybe I do want this padding. Let's give our tabs a background color, I think. So first of all, I'm going to say content, set margin, spacing 0, and set padding 0. Or do we want the padding? So this is just sort of a trying myself, trying to see what works, what doesn't work. So I think we do want the padding, right, but not the margin. We will give it a color. I'm gonna give it dark gray. No, that's for the label. The contents. Let's see. Oh, right, because I have to say this dot label. I'm just gonna try this. Okay, something gave us a null pointer at add tab now. So what did we do? This dot label doesn't exist yet, right? There we go. All right, so it's looking a little bit better. But now we need to know which one of these is active, and that shouldn't be too hard. We can do that inside of this update. Do we need to store color? No, I don't think so. So if parent get active tab, we didn't have that, equals this, then we are active. So let's do label set background color, and let's give it like light gray. Let's make this getter. We could probably do that just like this. Alt insert, make a getter for the active tab. So if we're active, we do that. And let's do the onFocus thing as well. So let's first set the background color to color.dark gray by default. And then if we have focus, then label set background color color.light gray. And this might just be gray then to set these apart. Let's just see what that looks like. All right, well, I don't hate it, absolutely not. I feel like maybe we want to add still. So the content container, the background color is gray, but we removed the padding. Let's keep the padding, see what that looks like. All right, I think I sort of like this border, and it's also more clear that this is the contents of this tab. Right, and here gets very big. Maybe we force the contents that we get for the UI tab to not have a padding. All right. Not entirely sure, but I think it looks decent. So now that we have this component, let's also add it for these tiles and see what that looks like. So I'm gonna head over to the UI tile menu, and here where we just do this tile container, we're adding tile set. So the tile container now, let's make it a UI tab container. And instead of adding just a UI component, I'm gonna say add, right, we have to also say that this is specifically a UI tab container to be able to use the add tab. And so this label will be grass, and I guess the, let's see, I provided a UI tile toggle and it wants a container. That's because, of course, I'm using the, instead of using this, which is what I should be using. get tile set. We already have a wrapping method that will help us with this. Let's see. Provided UI component. But this makes a UI container, so we can just say UI container. Yeah. All right, because now we want it to act as a container and not as a component. So this worked great. I'm just going to call this grass. And then I'm just going to duplicate these. And concrete, dirt, and water. All right, let's see what this looks like. All right, now we don't have to look at all of them at the same time. So there's still some stuff that I'd like to fix. It looks a little weird here. What might that be? So a tab container, is it? What did we do here? We removed vertical container. Is this it? The tab container? Select to set margin, new spacing 0. Let's just see what that looks like. Okay, well it did look a little better actually. Now these look the same. All right, so I am fairly happy with this. Let's just see how much time I've used. I've used quite a lot of time. So I think that this will have to be enough. And I might actually make another video. There are a couple more things that I'd like to do before we get to placing objects. But there you have it. Now we have this tab component, which is super good. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Hej då!